Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. I want to talk about Crowden's Toy Store. You've probably never heard of Crowden's Toy Store. I've watched a lot of interesting videos, or interesting to me, on YouTube about different toy chains and people's memories of certain toy stores and that. And with the collapse of Toys R Us and stuff like that, and a shift away from collecting toys, like kids tend to play with video games and electronics now instead of traditional toys. I think that's really sad and a bit disturbing. And now we actually find a lot of adults, like I think a quarter of the revenue now is coming from adult collectors. And people are now catering, I think if they're smart, more to adults who are still collecting toys that they used to collect, rather than trying to pitch toys to kids who are really uninterested. You have to jump through so many hoops to get them interested, and they'd still rather be on their phone. So I sort of see the future of the toys being with more the collectible type of toys and that a lot of people are producing now, retro toys and stuff like that. But for me, all I had was Crowden's Toy Store. We had the variety section of the Rolfos, Woolworths, Coles, whatever you want to call it. It was Rolfos when I was growing up and later Woolworths. But Crowden's Toy Store, I loved it. Basically, it was just a very small store. Basic store. If I remember correctly, it had sports in the front, so I call it Crowden's Toy Store, and I think that's what it was originally called. But it did have bikes in it. But I think the sports stuff became more prominent later. You'd sort of walk past the bikes at the front, and then there would be a whole bunch, because it was on a corner, so there was like windows around the side. And on the side, along all the windows, were all the shelves of all the toys. And there was like two main sections. The one that had the toys that I loved, like Transformers and Thundercats and Master Universe and Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters and what else? The last thing that there was when I was a kid that I was just that little bit too old to get into was Power Rangers. That I sort of looked at them and I respected that the toys looked just like the figures, and the figures on TV looked just like the toys, and there was something about that that worked as a kid, but it's really hard to watch it as an adult. But I just couldn't get into them. I just passed out of it, and I was already committed to and enamored with, Transformers and and Star Trek and the things I was already interested in. But I just used to go there whenever I could, and I'd just go in there and I just browse all day and window shop all day, and I'd just be sitting there. Sometimes I just sit there and pull out a bunch of toys and just look at them. And the guy who ran the toy store was fairly nice about it. I don't ever recall him chasing me out or telling me I shouldn't be in there, or that I was spending too long, or I needed to buy something or get out or anything like that. He was always very nice. Except for that one time, he didn't like how long my hair was, and he offered to give me a discount on a bunch of toys if I let him cut my hair, because he hated how long it was. And I never did it. I could have saved money, and then everyone cut their hair anyway, and I cut it for nothing later. But it was beautiful. There was an upstairs section where I knew he kept all the stock, and I used to imagine what was up there that wasn't actually on the shelf, and I always imagined there was more up there than there probably ever was, and things I wanted probably weren't up there, but I was sure he always had them in the storeroom. I never got to go up there until years later. Unfortunately, two things happened. One, less people were into toys. I think more people started travelling to Launceston that had Toy World and some of the bigger toy stores. So it became more about shops, and then it became Crowden's sports store. They still had a little toy section, a couple little shelves, a couple rows of shelves there, but that's it. It was mostly, gym equipment and sports gear and bikes and stuff like that. And then eventually they sold it, and it was turned into a gym, and they renovated it. And the upstairs, the Holy Grail, room where they kept all the stock room, was turned into an upstairs area where people did squats or something. And I walked up there once and looked out the little window that was in the back of the storeroom, and I thought, wow, this would have been the window to the storeroom if I'd ever gotten to go into it. And now it's just some gym. Now my sister loved the gym and lived there, so it still sort of became part of the family. But it was sad to see it go, but it's kind of funny to think how small my world was. That these couple of rows of shelves in these couple of aisles in this, it really was just two shelves back to back, and you'd sort of be in between the two of them, and everything was so wherever you turned, it was like toys, or the window, and you see people walking past, and I could just sit in there all day. I remember some days just sitting there when it was rainy outside, and just sitting there looking through the toys and deciding what I was going to buy next and what I was going to collect next, and you're looking for new toys and new brands, and you just spend a lot of time in there, and it was a really great memory. And it's kind of sad that overall, because it wasn't a chain, but a lot of people, one of the chain stores was their store, and they're all gone. So I don't know, it's all kind of sad. So many things that are going, video stores, toy stores, collectible stores, but I'm glad I got to experience them and share my memories of them.